Coastal cities around the world are sinking, and it is predicted that by 2100, sea levels are expected to rise up to 1 meter, causing billions of dollars in annual damage. In some cities, the ground is going down 10 times faster than water is going up. Gilles Erkens, a PhD senior geologist at Deltars Research Institute in the Netherlands, says, land subsidence in many coastal cities is a major issue because it enhances flood risk, but while the impact can be devastating, the right project can help city governments confront the problem head-on. To stay above water, some cities have launched mega projects spanning years or even decades. Jakarta, Indonesia, one of the world's fastest growing cities and fastest sinking city, is also the site of one of the world's largest infrastructure programs. Home to 28 million people, the Jakarta metropolitan region has sunk 13 feet due to subsidence during the past 35 years. In October 2014, Jakarta launched the first phase of a 40-year, US $40 billion risk management program. The short-term measures include blistering 32 kilometers of existing seawalls, and the long-term solutions include the creation of drainage systems, pumping stations, an outer seawall, and a chain of 17 artificial islands that will enclose Jakarta Bay. In this densely populated city, we propose going offshore because that's where you have the space, says Victor Konen, a project manager in Jakarta. His organization developed the Jakarta Plan and is now helping the Indonesian government strengthen the seawall and relocate people who live there. Long-term challenges involve securing reliable contracts to ensure a financially feasible program, as well as at least 6,000 families will need to be relocated while this project is carried out. The key will be establishing a single project authority with sound project management practices. The initiative's decades-long timeline also means project plans must include strong financial foresight. The outer seawall project will take 15 years to execute, while the islands will take 40 years to complete. The plan is for new island real estate to ultimately pay for the projects, with international loans bridging the financial gaps. Victor Konen says that the plan must be flexible because of all the political ties. He recommends that the project team reevaluate the program every 2 to 3 years. You must be very flexible and make contingency plans that can withstand delays or changes, says Victor Konen.
Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam is learning its flood mitigation projects from the Netherlands' approach to allow flood water to flow in rather than to keep it all out. The city is pursuing 30 projects worth over $190 million, focusing on water, resource, energy, waste, and land management. The city will also build 30 large reservoirs to help reduce the amount of water pumped from aquifers.
Government-sponsored IT projects are making headlines, but the news is rarely good. The stories often highlight high-priced cancellations with taxpayers footing the bill. To tap the best project talent in a rapidly evolving sector, the US government needs to make it less daunting for smaller and newer organizations to win project contracts. Another frequent problem with government IT projects is their size. They tend to be large, which means long implementation periods, which create increased risk of obsolescence and risk to execution.
In the UK, the government is rethinking the way it manages its IT project portfolio, but in 2011 it created the Government Digital Service as a part of its government cabinet agency. The GDS strikes an agile tone that is unusual for government agencies. The GDS is currently focused on a digital transformation program to digitize the 23 most popular government services, such as visa applications and benefit claims. As a way to bring transparency to IT projects, the government created a website that tracks the status of each project within the digitization effort that began in 2013. As a part of its November 2014 climate deal with the US, the Chinese government is getting serious about greenhouse gases. They have agreed to peak their carbon dioxide emission by 2030 and boost green energy output to 20% within the same timeline. Celine Bach, president of Analytical Advisors in Ottawa, Canada, and a consultant on clean energy organizations operating in China, estimates the deal will spur 5,000 to 10,000 clean energy products throughout China's provinces. Though its aims may seem ambitious, China has already been working toward this milestone for more than a decade. The country is the world's leader in renewable energy and has had major investments in nuclear plants and solar projects. Last year alone, China was projected to build 4 times as much wind power as installed in all of Denmark, a wind energy pioneer.
E-waste management is the core part of a sustainable project portfolio by reducing waste in operations and creating recycling programs. E-waste is an issue that must be addressed collaboratively by multiple stakeholders. The best projects have NGOs, scientists, manufacturers, and companies working together. Project plan was adapted to local conditions, country, culture, and domestic laws. Focused research is needed, including who's to be involved and where e-waste is generated. Strategically assessing the e-waste problem helps organizations identify innovative project opportunities, like creating job opportunities in developing countries. A comprehensive and collaborative approach to managing the rising tide of e-waste spanning product planning, disposal, and recycling is the best way to respond to the global problem.
Apple is spending $848 million to power all of its operations in California, including its new corporate headquarters. It is Apple's biggest, boldest, and most ambitious project ever. The initiative is part of a wave of solar megaprojects working to decrease the world's dependency on fossil fuels. PV projects, also known as photovoltaic, convert sunlight directly into electricity. In contrast, concentrating solar power, or CSP projects, use mirrors to reflect sunlight onto a central steam-powered turbine that produces electricity. As the sector matures, portfolio leaders must assess the advantages and disadvantages of each approach.
The cost of PV modules has fallen rapidly due to falling silicone prices and manufacturing economies of scale. The US $2.2 billion mega project in California's Mojave Desert, the largest CSP facility in the world, opened in February of 2014. Project challenges included bird deaths due to heat rays, which caused stakeholder management challenges. Ivampa's project managers have developed mitigation plans. To prevent damage from lightning strikes, project teams installed surge suppressors on each heliostat. Clouds have jeopardized the team's ability to meet initial production projections. From the outset, project managers built a 4-year performance optimization period into the schedule. The facility is said to be fully operational and running at full capacity in 2018.
As CSP projects like Ivanpa work to prove their benefits, PV projects are looking more attractive than ever to sponsors. With PV modules costing less than a third of what they did 6 years ago, these projects may soon be able to deliver power at the same cost as the commercial grid. Apple's decision to finance the 280 megawatt first solar project is indicative of the rosy outlook for PV-generated power around the world. Construction is expected to start on the project in mid-2015 and finish by the end of next year. In December, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced his government would financially back an ambitious 5-year initiative to launch 25 solar power projects with a capacity of at least 500 megawatt. The initiative could help India meet its goal of producing 100 gigawatts of solar capacity by 2022, a goal China aims to reach by 2020. You need to be thinking 4 or 5 years ahead and about how what you're doing today affects those moves.